through that?
Well, it's kind of funny. In 1997, I believe it was, Neil Callaway was the O-line coach at Alabama. Neil, Will Friend, and Freddie Kitchens, we all flopped down in there in his couch in his office. We hung out with Coach Callaway a lot. And he sat there and he said, "All right, guys, you guys want to be ball coaches." He said, "I'm going to give you one piece of advice." He said, "Make sure you stick with good people." And that's one thing that stuck with me. And before I ever took a job anywhere, I made sure that I was going with the right folks. I think that's kind of helped get me to where I'm at today, is being with good folks.
Coach Rick, you talked about how quickly this all happened. Were there other people that you actually spoke to over that
very
24 hours?
I was collecting a lot of information. I was every name that came through, my assistant, Ann Hunt, was documenting it, making a file, trying to get as many bios as possible off of a resume, just to see a little bit of what each person had done. So very little conversation on the phone. There's actually, I'm not going to say who, but there's one person in particular that I did speak to. But other than that, it was mostly just collecting information. Obviously, it happened fast, and when I knew there was interest, that became priority one. Period. And thankfully, Plan A worked out.
Championship rings go on the road with you at the living rooms? Do you bring them in? Have you done that with the two previous, and obviously waiting on the third from Florida State?
I'm sorry.
Do the rings themselves?
Championship rings with you. Do you show me the recruits and things
Oh,
like
no,
that?
I don't wear rings. I put them in my safe deposit box and don't ever touch them. So, because to me, I'm not looking in the rearview mirror. I'm looking straight ahead, and hopefully there'll be more to get.
Coach Pruitt, kind of as a follow-up to that, you've been on a few national championship staffs now, 2 different programs. You've seen Georgia from a distance, certainly when you were at Alabama in the same conference. Have you formed, or did you form any sort of perception of the program in terms of it's really good, what's it going to take to get it to the next level? Did you bring any of that to the interview when you talked to Mark, or just what are your thoughts on that?
Well, first off, for me making a decision on where I want to work and what staff I want to be a part of, I definitely don't want to go backwards. So I feel like this is a championship staff. And I wouldn't be here today if I didn't believe in Coach Rick and what he stands for and where this program's going.
Coach, we're talking about scoring defense. Georgia ended 79th. FSU was first in the nation. Isn't that the most important stat?
The most important is a win. So if we give up 30 and they score 31, we'll take it. You know, if we can't give up any and beat them 2-0, we'll take that. So to me, that's the most important stat. And you know, sometimes we get caught up in the stats of, you know, how many yards we give up this, or the turnovers, this and that. It's a team game, and it's the greatest game because it is a team game. So I think that's the most important stat.
Jeremy, did you give Jimbo and Florida State a chance to kind of counteroffer, tell you why they thought you should stay there?
Well, first of all, me and Coach Fisher are very good friends, but when I decided this is what I want to do, I let him know, and that was it.
People talk about the lore of the SEC. There are so many coaches over time who might leave or go to a different school. How much does the conference, besides the University of Georgia, how much does the conference affiliation come into play in the decision?
Well, there's no doubt this is the best conference in the country, and I feel like that the University of Georgia is the best school in the conference. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't think that.
Coach, since you have the experience of being both a 18 to 20-year-old defensive back and then coaching them, what do you think is the biggest fundamental breakdown defensive backs have a hard time grasping?
Eye control. I think it's the most important thing the defensive back's got to have. He's got to have great eyes, and he's got to have discipline, know where his eyes are supposed to be. Because if you're running 4-4 and you're running in the wrong direction, you're getting a long way from where you're supposed to be in a hurry.
Coach, this obviously has been such a whirlwind. Have you even had a chance to look at any tape or any games at all?
No.
Mark, what did you learn from the last coaching search you had? I know that was longer than you maybe wanted it to be, and were you looking for someone more this time with a 3-4 background?
Well, like I said last time, the goal is to find the right man for the job, and that's really what we found. There's risk in talking to guys that are at Florida State or at whatever school. That, you know, if you're looking to get the best, then it's going to be tough to get them out of there. And what happens sometimes is, even though someone has a sincere desire to be at Georgia, to maybe be on this particular staff or whatever, it's still very, very difficult to make that move, especially if you're at a great place. So you take a risk if you shoot for the star, so to speak, in that a guy might be totally sincere, and then right at the moment of truth, he's not able to do that. And for good reasons. You know, there are a lot of reasons why guys change their mind at the last moment. And so if you do a lot of that, it could prolong your search. And so, you know, thankfully, Coach was very sincere in his interest and very sincere in following through with what he said he wanted to do. And you know, I'm very grateful for that. And because of it, we're here as quickly as we are right now.
Mark, with the vacancies on staff, is there any thought to moving stuff around for the sake of having someone doing something different with special teams, or is it just proceeding as?
Well, special teams, we are. I got some things in mind, so I really can't say exactly what I got in mind. I do have some things in mind for that. I think it's going to be helpful. I want Coach Pruitt in this hire to get what he wants and what he feels he needs. Okay, and but my guess is whoever it is will have a strong special team background as well. But that's not a prerequisite for getting what Coach feels like he needs.
I know they were talking at the AFCA about maybe having a 10th spot, right? So is that entering into your thinking?
That's been in the works. I don't think it's going to happen this year, but I think in time the 10th coach will come, and it may be sooner than later. It may not be this season, but it could be possibly the next go around of the legislation. I know I'm behind it. I'm for it. Most every coach I've talked to is for it. So if that happens, that would probably free up a lot of people to say this is all this guy does is special teams now. But in the meantime, we're going to have something that I think is going to be very exciting for us to get better in that area. And the other thing too, I'll say this right now. I don't know if it was last night or the night before, but Coach said, "Hey, is it okay if I help coach some special teams?" And I was like, that was music to my ears, you know, to hear the defensive coordinator say, not necessarily that he's going to head up a team, but you know, you'll have someone head up a team, but one guy doesn't coach it all, and that's the misconception. Sometimes people see, you know, there's special teams coordinators all over the nation that they coordinate the meeting time, they coordinate the practice time, but they don't coach every team, and they don't coach every guy on every team. It's impossible. So there's always going to be other coaches helping, and most people divide the special teams by different coaches. One coach may have two, another one has one, another one has one, but rarely does one guy have every single team and coach every single guy. It just doesn't happen. So people got to help. Well, you know, Coach Pruitt's got experience in coaching some facets of some of the special teams, and he's already said that he'd like to get involved in it, which he will get involved with. But when your defensive coordinator has that mentality, then it becomes even more important for everybody to want to get on one of those teams and be on one of those teams. And I think that's going to be real helpful for us.